All right, here we go. And welcome back to another episode of No More Nonversations. I have my homie Matt Wallace joining today. How are you, Matt?
Doing great, man. Just chilling, one day at a time.
One day at a time. That's the best way to take it. I am just chilling too. I had a long weekend of partying and not a lot of sleep, and it's catching up to me now. But the good thing is, food still smells and tastes great, if you know what I mean. So that means it's just like a little common cold here I'm dealing with, a little runny nose. But the show must go on. So to let everybody know, we go way back. Growing up in Cordova together, you are Aaron Wallace's older brother. Uh, did you go to Mount Pisgah?
Yeah,
You went to
I even
Mount
went to
Pisgah?
Chimney Rock.
Okay, I did not go to Chimney Rock. You went to Chimney Rock, then Mount Pisgah. Okay, and then Houston as well. And you are the first thing that everybody notices about you is that you are a very large individual. You are 6'8".
Yeah.
6'8". Okay, so the first thing I want to know is I'm always fascinated to know um, how people such as large as you see the world. I mean, just generally everyone is smaller than you, and I know you always took it with a good sense of humor, but your nickname at Houston was Lurch.
Yeah.
I mean, so is that something that you embraced, or was it something that you just tolerated?
Uh, at first I tolerated it, and then I embraced it. I guess after basically my freshman year, I was like, whatever. All the teachers are going to call me Lurch. Whatever. It could be worse. It's
Definitely
like
could be worse.
I was like, all right, whatever, let's go,
Right.
and just tried to play football. But yeah,
Okay, so it wasn't like your favorite name, but you
nah.
just rolled with it, not anything that bothered
Yeah.
you too much.
Well, a lot of people probably thought I was autistic, or thought that I am autistic. And at the time, I didn't know any better. I didn't think I was. I thought I was normal, and turns out not so much. But hey, minor details.
You're not normal. You seem pretty normal to me, Matt.
No, no, I have my ticks. I have my ticks.
Doesn't everybody?
Oh yeah, but some they make me want to kick a baby.
I mean, yes. I mean, some people want to kick babies from time to time. I'm sure you haven't followed through with that urge to kick a baby.
No, of course not.
Exactly. So I'm sure we
No.
could probably say a lot of people have the urge to kick babies. That still doesn't sound like a take to me. It sounds like frustration with the world.
Uh, One could call it that, maybe, but I don't know. Once I'm set on something, it's like no, it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's like I gotta vacate that vicinity.
Okay, fair, fair. So outside of playing football, going to Houston, and just kind of tolerating the nicknames, how was your experience? What was it like for Houston at you? Because you're looking down on virtually everyone at Houston and just like seemingly somewhat physically out of place. Like, how was your high school experience?
It was different. It was very difficult. Um, some would say, "Oh, you're the biggest guy in the school," but it doesn't mean much when there's a mob of people that just are just straight hateful and just putting all that hate out there. It's different. And I sure, like, now looking back, I'm like 99% sure I opened my mouth when I shouldn't have, or said some like majority stupid shit back then. But still, everybody was dealing with their own shit. So, but nobody knew about my shit till 6 years ago, 7 years ago. But at the same time, I didn't want anybody to know, but I did, but I didn't know how to say it, if that makes sense. And it's just like everybody else dealing with their stuff. So they would project, and it was really hard. Like I got picked on every single day. It didn't matter what classroom I was in or whatever, I was picked on. I was like, hey man, all I wanted to do was just be left the fuck alone.
Mhm.
Just let me do me and chill the hell out. Like just chill. And if everybody would have smoked weed back then, shit would have been a lot different.
That is true. If only they would let the high school students smoke weed between classes, wouldn't that be great?
Man, you wouldn't believe, dude. It's like, hey, just okay, chill out. And don't get me wrong, I was a pretty intense personality back then. Probably not much different now, but at least I know how to tame it a little bit.
Yeah, and it's funny because like intensity is such a subjective thing.
Right.
Like I can see why people think you're intense, but you don't necessarily seem intense to me. But I mean,
Sure.
literally, just your physical presence. You're towering over people. For some people, you're blocking out the sun. You're a physically intimidating guy. Um, but I can only imagine what it's like. Like you're saying, you got picked on every day at
Every
school,
day.
and I can't imagine how frustrating that can be for 4 years of high school.
Oh, it wasn't just for high school,
Oh,
homie. It
no.
wasn't just high school, man. I got picked on every single day from like kindergarten all the way up.
Oh, wow. So it's been your entire life.
Yeah, man. Like if it wasn't one thing, it was another. People just like would I get in fights all the time just because they didn't like me because I was bigger,
Right. Right.
or just because I said something different. Probably deserved it, but it's still like thinking back on it, it's like, okay, dude, why are you over here trying to swing at me? Well, like, all
Right.
right, let's go.
I
But
have I have noticed that about like some of my larger friends. It seems like there are smaller guys that seek out larger
mhm,
individuals to pick on for whatever reason, whatever insecurities they're carrying. But it's like the big guys always they get picked on by smaller people. I have another large friend, and he would say it all the time. Like he's just like you. He just wants to be left the fuck alone. He would go to bars, and people would just seek him out to just try and fight with him.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, hell, I had fucking a few people on the football team. They like swung at me at during football, and the coaches did nothing really until after the fact. And after the fact, we just ran sprints. I'm like, are you serious right now? Dude's over here on roids and like trying to swing at me with him and his two buddies, and you're not going to do anything about this? All right, sweet. I know where I stand. Stand for myself.
That's wild. So you're on the football field, and you've got authority figures watching this event, and people
Hmm.
literally trying to take swings at you, and they did nothing.
Yeah.
So what does that do to your state of mind like throughout all of this? You've been picked down ever since grade school, and then you're on the football field, and authority figures are not coming to your defense because you could do some damage to somebody if you wanted to. You take that frustration out on somebody, it wouldn't be pretty. So like, what does that do to you?
I mean, after a while, you just get used to it. It's like, all right, cool. I got to do what I got to do. Stick up for me. And that's the way I just been keep going, you know. Gotta look out for me.
Right.
It's just do what I gotta do, regardless if I lose my job or where I'm at. Like, okay, I got shit to do, gotta get it done. Let's go. And that's it. Like, don't really think much other than that, of other than how to execute it, how to get it done.
Right.
That's like from like that's different from that's 100% different from like before I was in the military. Because before I'd be like, what are the consequences? What is what's going on? What is this? How do you do this? Well, how the hell did you get in the situation in the first place? Right. Trying to like methodically think it out. Now it's just, okay, cool. It needs to be done. Let's go.
And that is definitely the higher road because I know some individuals out there and that is not their default mindset. Their default mindset is to, or their version of take care of me is to put hands on another individual and make sure they don't fuck with me again.
And you know, that's sometimes I, like in the past, I've had to do that. Like, it's like, hey, leave me the hell alone. When are you going to get the point of just leave me alone? And it usually came down to the fists. I didn't lose, never lost one. I always said I'd be willing to fight them again. If you're like, to me, if you don't ever lose a fight unless you're not willing to fight to do it again. Oh, but when I was younger, I got my ass beat all the time by like kids that were older too, like 5 to 7 years older. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'd be like 6, 7 years old getting the shit kicked out of me by like a 7th, 8th grader. Yeah.
So this has been like a lifelong journey for you of like fighting
Yeah.
for your space.
All right. Yeah. And then hell, don't even get me started on just getting clothes.
Right.
Yeah. It's like for me, I don't like fighting. I don't like being that pissed off because as I've gotten older, it's like it's not worth it to be mad all the time. And for me, that's a big change because like it hasn't always been like that because there's a lot of hurt. But if I let it control me, then it controls my daughter or affects my daughter, and not necessarily in a positive way. So I don't ever want to be a bad father for my daughter. So I got to take care of me. Got to do what got to do what has to be done. So that's why like I've been trying to lose weight and stuff too, and dipping into the whole diet thing because. And I wish I'd have listened to y'all earlier, man.
So I definitely want to touch on like your journey through nutrition because I've been through a journey with nutrition as well, and it's been a very interesting time just being able to even pay attention to how different food choices affect how I operate on a daily basis as far as just physical energy, mental clarity, and just pretty much everything. So for starters, how do you think that you've changed since you've become a dad?
In what regard?
Well, I really don't know because I mean, everyone says that once you have a kid, it changes you, and you're talking about like making changes for the better now that you have a daughter. So, is it just finding more patience to deal with your frustration so she has a good role model to look up to, like dietary choices? Is this affecting like the foods that you allow her to eat, or like what is it? How has life changed for you as a dad?
So as a dad, it's changed in just more of if every decision that I make, it's more how is it going to affect her? Because everything's about my daughter. Everything is. I love my daughter,
Right.
as every father should. I don't understand the whole deadbeat dad thing. It just doesn't work for me. I don't logically understand that. But anyway, so it changes. You become protective over something more than just yourself. It's more of like an instinct. It's just like you got to do it again. You can still apply. You got to do what you got to do, but now it's not just about you. Instead of always having to take care of business. You know what I mean? So like any type of, when I try to go get a new job, it's, can I get it so it can improve her life? Can I do this so I can improve her life this way? Or from an educational aspect, like, right? So we didn't have, as you know, growing up, we didn't have all the cool video game classes and coding classes and all that stuff for IT at all back then, right? But our generation is still part that like really blew the internet up and fully utilized it. We watch its creation and we're kind of some of the builders of it. And everything has just changed. It's different. It's different when you become a father. So like, I don't know, it's just different, man. I
Yeah.
can't, it's hard to explain really just one without like kind of losing track of where I'm at.
Mhm.
And because like you just change, you're not the same anymore. You're not necessarily going to be the same party guy that goes out all the time or whatever. Your daughter, the thought for your daughter comes first. I mean, yeah, there's times like, hey, fuck, I just need a break, or you want to choke the shit out of little shit, but you know, it's still no different than like you just take care of one of your own. That's exactly what you're doing. She should do. And it's everything's because of her. Now like that's more diet too. I think diet can affect your mood some fierce too.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. And on that note, what have you? Because I found a huge difference with like cutting out a lot of the processed foods, eating a lot less of those processed carbs, processed sugars. I feel like I have better clarity. I feel like I have better sustained energy throughout the day. And it's almost because this is what I've engaged in. Those are the types of foods that I engaged in for like 2 decades of my life, thinking that
Right.
you had to consume these quick digesting carbs and foods to maintain a certain size and intensity on the field. So it was almost like once I stopped doing that, it was like I was able to wake up and realize there's a new side of life, or I can process things differently. And like it's like a light, like a literal light came on. It's like you're wearing sunshades, and then you take those shades off, and you're like things are just brighter. So like, what have you found specifically when tweaking your diet?
Well, I kind of went very drastic on my change because I, for the longest time, was on pretty much a seafood diet. I saw food and I ate it because, like in high school, the coaches always wanted me to gain weight. They wanted me to gain, and it didn't matter what I ate. Didn't matter how much I ate. I could eat a pizza 3 meals a day, and I wouldn't have gained a single freaking pound over the course of a month. And it's like, are you serious right now? This is frustrating. Like, I didn't get, I think I got up to like 243 ish by the time I was done with high school. And like now I'm at 333. Significant difference, but
Right.
also long time. Hell, it's almost been 20 years since been out of school.
Right.
But yeah, it's a significant difference. Like diet is huge. I've noticed that as we were talking before we started, the difference like of when I've drank enough water, um, like my hands and joints and hips and knees, all of it, they all feel like tight, like they need water. They're like telling me, hey, you need water. Don't know why. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but like for me, it is. And it's kind of nice. It's like, hey, oh no, I should have already done this. Wake up, dummy. It's different because I cut out on the diet. I cut out pretty much like all main sugars for the most part. I only drink water, water and almond milk that I mix with my protein shakes. So I went from like a 4,000 calorie diet down to a 1,600 inadvertently without using a calculator and weighing everything. Um, but it was based off of like 6 eggs in the morning, 6 eggs in the morning with a banana. Then 3 hours later, I'd have a shake. 3 hours later, I'd have lunch, which would be like a 6 ounce piece of chicken with half cup of rice and white rice, white jasmine rice, and 2 cups of steamed broccoli. And then 2 hours later, have an apple. Then, or not 2 hours, 3 hours later, have apple. 3 hours later, have dinner, which would be 8 ounces of beef with half cup of rice and 2 cups of spinach. And then I wouldn't eat anything else, but I had to adjust that and add in a whole other tray of 8 ounces of beef and beef, rice, and spinach, as well as a second protein shake, just to get the amount of calories.
Was that like well, I guess two things. Like, at what point did you start making these changes? What was the catalyst to making these changes? And then number one, how difficult was it for you to make these changes?
What caused it was more that I have gained a lot of weight, and I was recently diagnosed with sleep apnea. And as you know, I have heart issues, and they're saying that may possibly AFib has been caused, or I've been having it because of sleep apnea. And I'm like, well, if I can help get rid of that or reduce that by dropping weight, that to me is a catalyst to say, hey, wake up, dummy, or you're going to kill yourself.
Right. That's enough of a motivator right there, for sure.
It's either I'm going to take a dirt nap or I'm going to get off my ass and do something about it.
Right. Right. So it's like no other alternative there.
Right.
When you decided to make that change, was it easy to like just turn off the switch and then make that change, or was there an adjustment period? Like, you would have cravings, and then you would, because I know when I've made those changes, like, oh, I can't do it. Like, after 2 or 3 days, I'm like, oh, I can't do it. I'm gonna go and get a cheeseburger or eat a pizza, and I get back on the train. And there was definitely, it wasn't like because I can go hardcore for like a week or two.
Yeah.
After a while, those cravings are just beastly.
So I'm only at like week 3.
Okay.
I hate meal prepping.
Same here.
And it's a struggle. What's helped me as far as the sugar part is my protein shakes go, because I'm using whey protein. And it has, I don't know if it's a sweetener or whatever it's in it, but it tastes a little sweet compared to like some of the others that I've had that just taste god awful and leave that nasty film. This one doesn't, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It that helps curb it, and then curb the sugar, and then fruit. Fruit helps me with that one. But I'm sorry, I lost the train of thought there. What was the other part of the question?
That was pretty much it. Like, was it hard for you to make that adjustment, or were you finding yourself falling off the wagon and jumping back on, or once you made up your mind, you stuck to the plan?
I've fallen off a little bit over this past weekend, and I didn't fully meal prep this week, but I still ate healthy-ish.
Right.
Healthy-ish, but I'll be going back at it, of course, this weekend and getting 100% staying on the course, because I've already seen weight loss. I was at 348 a few weeks back, and I'm already down to 333.
Nice job.
So yeah, thanks. I'm trying to continue that pattern. So even when I've cheated a little bit, it's not been anything like crazy. It's just been like, okay, instead of eating breakfast and lunch, I've been messing up the whole cycle of staying every 3 hours eating. I'd eat something bigger and reduce the amount of meals. So I'm like, well, damn it, stop doing that.
Right,
You're messing
right.
up. You're messing up everything. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I got to tell myself that exact same thing. It's like I'm messing up, like all that progress that I had. It's like
right,
I'm messing it
right,
up. It's like I have to find healthier ways or
right.
healthier options rather than just completely falling off the wagon. And to your point about like your body tells you when you need water.
Mhm.
Like, that has been a very interesting journey for me as well. It's only in the past few years that I've been actually able to listen to my body and kind of figure out what it wants.
Mhm.
Um, and then also about like what it doesn't want, because I love eggs. There's something about eggs that I cannot get enough of. Uh, I don't know if it's the vitamin
Oof.
in there or if it's the fat that's in there, but at the same, because I can eat them without anything. I can eat eggs straight, scrambled eggs, and I don't need any salt in them, don't need any pepper, don't need butter, don't need cheese. They're just delicious to me. But I did notice that I think they cause me inflammation. I remember, yeah, I think they cause inflammation for me because I was eating eggs consistently for a while. And I just recall I went for a run on a Tuesday. It was kind of a cold Tuesday. And typically, after running on a cold day, I get a little phlegmy, a little mucus that, I'm spitting out, for an hour or two after I run. It's the body clearing the systems out, clearing the pipes. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. It wasn't anything new to me. And then the next Tuesday, I think I was out of eggs probably. So I didn't have any eggs for lunch. I ended up just having, I believe, brisket and sweet potato for lunch. And it was delicious. Indeed it was. And I went for the same run, same distance. It was about the same weather, kind of cold and damp. Went for a run the next Tuesday, and I noticed zero mucus after the run.
Hmm.
And I didn't have any eggs that day. And I was like, holy shit. Does that mean that I have a
Can't.
sensitivity to it?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know, but I found it absolutely fascinating. And there are other
Hmm.
factors in that. Like maybe it's just the quantity of eggs that I was eating, because I can crush 6 eggs in a sitting
Nothing.
and it's nothing.
Right.
So maybe 1 or 2 eggs would be fine for me, but it was enough information for me to say, like, well, maybe eggs are just not my jam. And I need to find whatever it is that my body was craving from the eggs. I can get it from somewhere, or maybe somewhere else. Maybe it was the vitamins or the
Right.
healthy fats. But I think there's something about eggs that cause inflammation in my system. So it's like, that maybe I'll just step away from those for a little bit or consume a lot less of them.
Right. I've noticed since you brought up the point of like mucus and stuff, I've noticed that actually getting off of dairy has helped my throat and sinuses significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't been eating any bread, haven't been drinking any milk, not dairy milk anyway. I've had almond milk, but um, nothing really, nothing out of that. Like, no, I haven't had any dairy for the most part. And it's been a night and day difference.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
been just meat, vegetables, and a little bit of rice
yeah, and
and
that's
some
like all
fruit,
you need,
whatever.
and
Right.
that's enough. And I've noticed the same thing. Really cut back on the dairy, and kind of the inflammation goes down. I believe your brother says the same thing. He notices almost immediately after he eats like cheese or milk,
Yeah.
something with milk in it. He notices immediately that like his allergies flare up.
Hmm.
So that's absolutely fascinating. So again, like I am, so we're kind of on this journey here of discovering new aspects of ourselves, and we're in this place in time where there's a lot of friction in the country, you know,
Ooh.
against between everyone. And to a degree, it almost sounds like you've had a similar experience to that of a minority. You're a tall white male, but you've been picked on your entire.
Correction, pasty,
Oh,
pasty meat popsicle.
excuse me. Let me correct for the record. You are a tall, pasty meat popsicle. Excuse me. And being a tall, pasty meat popsicle, you've been picked on your entire life. And not only that, but it's like I'm sure it probably gets frustrating. I mean, you probably figured out what you need to do, but even finding clothes, that fit, or shoes. I
Oh,
imagine
t-shirts.
t-shirts, just even simple t-shirts. So like you are kind of an outcast in all aspects. So like how, but it also seems like you've just found a way to just like tune it out and you just take care
Mhm.
of you. And
Mhm.
so is that something that's just second nature to you now, and you just are no longer bothered by the inconveniences of life?
Yes and no. So yes, in the aspect of outside influences for the most part, it's like, okay, are you paying my bills? Are you putting a roof over my head? Or are you putting food in my mouth? Those three things aren't yes, no, then I don't worry about it for the most part. It's not worth it. Like I said, to be so damn anxious all the time or so pissed off. It's like, for me, loud noises or loud, sharp, high pitched noises, I have to leave.
Mhm.
It's like I gotta go. Like I can't watch some military movies because of that high pitched noise from the aftershock or whatever, from like the shell shock, and when they're like just waking up, that drives me nuts. Can't do
Wow.
it.
Okay.
Can't do it.
And speaking of
But
military, what you were in the Air Force, correct?
yep,
Air Force, and you said that you've had PTSD because of your experiences in the Air Force.
yeah, absolutely.
What caused it?
What caused what? PTSD
Yeah, what
or
caused? Was there a specific incident, or was it just the entire time?
well, so it was kind of like a continuation of school, right? And then, but it was stricter, and I had laws and rules and regulations that I had to follow. So, but like, it didn't matter really what you said because it's like, okay, you need to shut up and color. And it's not the same as it is now. It's nowhere near it. It's a lot more PC and a little bit over to PC, if you ask me, because it's like, okay, just shut up and get it done. Whereas like now, it's like you can't necessarily just say that so much, but at the end of the day, it's still the military. They got to get the job done, at least for those folks that are doing ammo, like I was doing. Um, I built bombs, missiles, chaff flare, 20 mil, all of the muds. Anything that the military puts on the planes, I've touched it. Like just like all the others that have done it before me and after me, no big deal. But for me, it was when the stuff kicked off over in the Middle East, and it was back in 2011, and we had to work 20-hour shifts. We weren't supposed to, but like we did because there was nobody to replace us. We did what we had to do. And that was basically it. We did what we had to do, and I was getting a couple hours sleep at the time because at the time I was attempting to get married for the first time, and only time thus far. But it was that time because there was so much lack of sleep. It was like 2 to 3 hours a night, if that, working with explosives that day. And that literally at any given point, if there is so much as one piece of static that hits the right spot on those bombs, like you disappear. You don't just blow off an arm or a leg. You disappear with how close you are and the amount of the explosives that you're towing. It's one mistake can set up the whole base if it's not done right. Like, because I mean, the way that they do it, for the most part, they try to separate that stuff out, like with like earth covered igloos and stuff, so it doesn't propagate. It goes up instead of out. But like, if you get a big enough explosion, it don't matter. You know what I mean? It just don't matter. You disappear.
So I imagine that's rather stressful knowing that you're
Yeah.
handling such delicate equipment for
Uh,
hours on end.
but yes and no. It's like you get numb to it, just like a nurse or a nurse in ER or an EMT. That is, you get numb to it after a while. But then it's like, okay, when you get out, you have to kind of like think about that stuff, because like when you become a father, going back to our previous topic, it's like everything changes. And at least for me, it's like when you look back on it, it's like, wow, I did some really dumb shit that I'm lucky to be here for. And that that affects how you think, right? It's like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Let's not do that again. Let's try to learn from this one.
Right. Right.
And it's
That,
like, okay, everything that's shitty that happens, as long as you learn something from it, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Regardless of how shitty you are, if you learn something from it, technically, I mean, well, there's moral things with that statement, but like within normal moral boundaries,
mhm, mhm.
as long as you learn something, you can hopefully for the better not repeat it. If you repeat it, then okay, well, then you deserve what's coming to you.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because shitty things do happen. So as long as you're learning from it, and as long as those shitty things are within certain moral standards,
Right.
then you you should be able to learn from it and not repeat it. Absolutely. So you're saying that when you got into the military, it was basically just an extension of high school or school in general. It's just that bullying continued from peers and superiors?
Kind of, but it was different. Um, it was like, okay, when the big wigs weren't around, the good old boys club, but then like after a while, it's like, okay, it's not necessarily meant the same way. It's just like that culture because it's definitely a different culture. It's ammo is its own family with its own grip of problems. But at the end of the day, any single one of them, like you make a phone call, typically they're there if you know them. Or even if you don't, like you can go up to a group. That's what I loved about the career field the most. That's what I missed the most about the military is the camaraderie. Like the bonds that you make, it's just like the movies, man. Like the bonds that you make with your buddies, it's different. You all go through some shit, and it's different. It's not the same as like when you grow up together and you go through some shit. It's like you go through some real life and death shit, and you call, they answer. Not a lot of people do that. Not even family does that sometimes. But like those guys, it's it's a family and it's different and it's not easily found outside of the military. It's like different. I don't know. That's the only way I can really kind of explain it. It's different, at least for my career field.
Right.
Love them or hate them, love them or hate them. You, at the end of the day, they're going to do two things: give other countries a chance to die for their country by creating more bombs, and they'll be there for their own.
Mm. Yeah, that is something that I've noticed about teams. And I can only imagine that the bonds between the military, people in the military are so much stronger because it's centered around life and death
Yeah,
to some degree. It's like everything that you guys are doing, it's to protect and preserve life. So it's a little more serious. You have
yeah,
to take things to another level. It's not like, oh, I forgot to send this email and my manager's going to get mad at me. It's like, oh, I forgot to do this, and now three of my buddies are dead.
right, right.
You know, and that's something that needs to be taken a little more seriously. If there was a if you could identify a common trait between everyone that decides to join the military, what do you think it would be?
It's a very interesting question. That's interesting because I was thinking about that same question, that very question, not 3, 4 months ago. Like, what is it that makes all of us do? What is the one characteristic? And at first, I would think it'd be like more like patriotism or whatever, but that's not really, that's not a trait. It's not and there's not really one trait I can say, or one thing that I could say that would be why somebody would join. Some people join to better their situation. Some people join because they don't have a choice. Some people join because they want to go to school. Other people join so they can travel. It's everybody that I've ever come in contact with. It's not just because you're an American. You're supposed to do that. Blah blah blah. Pure right wing bullshit, right? It's not, oh, I'm doing this or whatever with left wing bullshit, whatever, blah blah blah. It's everybody's got their own walk of life, everybody's got their own choice, and I don't know if I can really pinpoint a trait itself that would be the answer for that. That would be like the most fitting answer, because like, okay, sure, yeah, you got to be brave, okay, but you also have to be scared. And like some people would say, what? That contradicts itself. Yes, it does. But it doesn't, because you have to be brave just to be able to go in. You have to be scared enough to be able to be in your right senses and know and just like let your shit kick in to do what you have to do. Like follow the training. That's what you do. You need to be scared so you don't mess up, because it is serious. But you have to also be brave. You have to also have courage. You have to have spirit. You have to have tenacity. You have to have like all of the characteristics to be able to do it. Sometimes, like I would say, most of us are more desensitized with our humor because we have a little bit more darker sense of humor. But yeah, there's not really one specific trait that I would say that would take for somebody to join the military. It's not as crazy as what the movies or whatever make it out to be. It's not. It's just basic training. It's just, okay, they yell at you. It's a mind. It's just a mind game with these people. They can't physically touch you. It's against the UCMJ. So like, it's okay. Can you withstand that mental breakdown? Because they have to break you down to build you back up. And they want you to, they're trying to mold you to get you to do what they tell you to do when they tell you to do it, so that you don't mess up if shit hits the fan.
So that I heard two really important points that I want to touch on. The first being that like you have to be you have to be brave, but you have to be scared as well. And that's a really important note that I take, because it's like you said, if you're scared, you're going to take your job more seriously. And that fear, it suppresses and or eliminates complacency. When you're scared, you're kind of paying more attention to things that need to be paid
But
attention to.
but after a while, so yes, with that line, but after a while, you get complacent. Like, I can tell you some shady shit that I've done, but I won't.
I won't ask. I don't want to know. I don't want to be court-martialed.
Right. No, but like when shit hits the fan in real world situations, you do whatever you have to do for the mission to get done. Period. Like,
Right.
you go without sleep. You do whatever it takes to get the job done. Of course, safety first, but you do whatever it takes to get the job done.
Right. Huh. Now, and something else you said that was interesting. You said it's against the UCMJ for your superiors to put their hands on you during training.
Yeah, like you're not supposed to strike another person because it's assault on government property or something. I don't know the exact verbiage, but the UCMJ is like just the Uniform Code of Military Justice. That's their basic rules or laws, if you will, that everybody in the military has to abide by, in addition to the federal rules and laws. So it's just like a code of conduct that we all have to stay within those bounds. And go from there.
Okay, so when you enroll into the military, you are then considered property of the U.S. government.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. So, like,
Okay.
for example, with that, you can get in trouble if you get too severe of a sunburn from going to the river here in Arizona. So, like, for example, the sun is so intense here, it gets up to like sometimes like 121 degrees. And the river is like 57 degrees year round because it comes from the dams.
Mhm.
So while the water will feel really nice outside, like it'll feel kind of chilly out there and people won't put sunscreen on. And if you don't, you can be severely burned where like thick layers of skin are just coming off because it's just one big ass blister. Like it sucks when it's like that.
Mhm.
I haven't had it quite that bad, but I've had it to where I've pulled off quite a little bit of layer and it starts to sting a little bit. It's like, ugh. That's probably a little nap. Um, it's probably not the best sign to stay out there that long and not wear sunscreen. Like it's that bad. Like if you have to miss work, you're getting in trouble.
Okay, got it. Because then you're interfering
Right, with the job.
with the job, okay, and the government's objective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting. So, and what was it? Because your dad was in the military. Was that your motivation to go into the military?
No, my motivation was just to get
Okay.
out of Memphis and to better my situation as a whole.
Okay. Um, and the military seemed like the best way to do that. So it's safe to say that when you went into the military, you were looking for a way out of Memphis, but you were also okay with putting your life on the line for your country.
Of course, of course.
You say that so matter of factly. Where does that like come from?
What, the loyalty to my country?
Well, it's not the loyalty to the
It's
country because that's familiar to me. I know what it means to be loyal to your country, and I feel that is that too. But it's also like a preservation of life. Just so willing to put myself in a situation that could end my life, even for my country, is not something that is easy to digest.
I don't know. It's more of like a belief system for me. Like, for example, if somebody's going to try to take my way of life away from me, that I know because of the country that I live in, well, yeah, I'd want to fight for it. I'd put my life on the line for that so that other people can have it as well in a heartbeat. Because, like, I mean, if I'm free and I'm not being controlled in any way that I'm aware of, right? Other than like maybe buying stuff online or grocery stores, but like if for the most part I have my own free will, I get to do it the hell that I want. Yeah, why not?
Well, first and foremost, let me thank you for your service to our country. Um,
Thanks for your
because
support.
Yeah, absolutely. I always support our troops and our armed forces because it is a hard job, and to be able to do that, to take that position of willings, like to be so selfless. It is a very selfless thing to do. To say like, well, these are the freedoms that we have, and I'm willing to sacrifice my life so my fellow Americans can continue their life and protecting their freedoms. I found that very admirable, but it's also just a very, very selfless thing. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, I don't know, why wouldn't anybody want to try to protect what they have, right? Like
Well,
it's the
um,
same difference, right?
it is. I mean, but there are nuances to that. If you think
Sure,
of
of
someone
course.
like, Muhammad Ali, he's like, no, I'm not fighting for this country. My country doesn't support me. Like, no one across the ocean is calling me names outside of my name. So it's I guess it takes a little more questioning of like who who we're fighting for and what we're fighting for, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Like I couldn't go back over there, man. I couldn't handle it. I wouldn't be like, I've been offered jobs to go over there as a civilian contractor and do what I do. But and the pay I'm sure would be absolutely fantastic. But at
Mhm.
the same time, what would I be giving up? Well, I'd be giving up my daughter, which is something I would never do.
Mhm.
I would be giving up the family, which like the relationship there would be strained because it'd be 4 weeks on, or no, 4 months on, 2 weeks off, give or take. But the stress that some of the guys that I know that are over there, they've told me about it, and I could not handle it. I wouldn't come back the same.
Right.
And I'm already messed up enough as it is. I can't handle that stress. There's no way. Absolutely not. I would not come back the same person that I am now. No way. I would be numb to a lot of things and like it
Mhm.
just wouldn't, no, it would not be good for me. It wouldn't be good for my daughter. I just, no, we couldn't do it.
Because I can only
Absolutely
imagine
not.
the stress level that that takes to be in that type of environment day in and day out. And it's still fascinating to me and very admirable because again, you've explained that you've been picked on your entire life. Not only just picked on, but you've been in multiple fights. Like if you had to take a guess, how many fights do you think you've been in?
More than I can count on both hands.
Okay, okay. So you've been
Yeah.
in dozens of fights.
Yeah.
And so like when you're when you're servicing our country, you're fighting for the rights of those people who are constantly picking on you.
Yeah.
And that doesn't bother you at all.
I don't really look at it like that. I mean, does it bother me as a whole? No. Does it bother a little part of me? Sure. But at the same time, not everybody's bad.
Right, 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 right.
Like, not everybody's bad to me. And like, okay, sure, there's some shitty people, but it could be the situation that they're in. I don't know. I don't know what they've been through. I don't know their truth. I don't know their story. So why should I judge them? That's not my place to judge them.
I
they'll they'll find that out on their own if for whatever their religion they believe, like they'll whoever they pray to, they will figure that out, but it's between them and their deity or
right.
religion or whatever their beliefs.
I
It's not for
think
me to decide.
that's the most mature position to take. Absolutely, of like really understanding that you don't know someone's individual experiences,
Right.
and I find it a very hard thing to do, but it's what we should be doing. It's finding the space and compassion to allow someone to kind of just be as they are. It doesn't mean that you don't stand up for yourself. Like I'm sure you know you fight back, but it's like you leave that fight, and there's for the most part no hard feelings.
No, when I was younger, there was a lot of hard feelings like, yo, homie, like, you come at me again, you come near me again, I'm gonna try to sink my fist through your face.
Right, right.
But it's like, yo, like, just leave me the hell alone. Now, I don't want to get into a fight with you, man. Like, all I gotta do is stand up for the most part. I don't want to try to go up against a 22-year-old that's got like 3 times the stamina I've got now. I'm old, man.
Right, right, exactly. It's like I can't take those falls no more. I can't take those hits no more. It takes longer to recover.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
so
but
with oh,
it's
go
weird
ahead.
though. Well, no, sorry. It's for me it's weird though, because like in the middle of a fight, I don't feel the pain because the rage takes over. It's after the fight is what is the worst part. But then again, that might be because I've never just been knocked out, but
Right, right.
I'm sure like eventually I'll get my number punched too, just like everybody else does. They have their day eventually.
Well, maybe not. I mean, like you said, you're in a new space now, and
Yeah.
you handle yourself better, and you know how to diffuse situations and walk away before things escalate. So maybe not.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe not. I don't like to try. Like I said, I don't like trying to get into the fight. Like, I don't want you putting your hands on me. Like, stay away from me. If you're not like at least my arms length away from me, get the hell away from me.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
no.
Yeah,
Like, I need at
right.
least 6 feet barrier, motherfucker. Let's go.
Right. So the last point here on the military aspect. What do you think was the most important thing you learned from being in the military?
Discipline.
Discipline.
Discipline and like just the tenacity of saying shut the fuck up at color and just doing what you got to do. Just more of, okay, I've done stuff for the military, what's next? Oh, okay, I did school, okay, I did that while doing full-time work, what's next?
Right.
So like now I do cryptos and stuff. You can
Mhm.
see the rig right there.
Indeed.
But yeah, but yeah, discipline, definitely discipline. More just, okay, I gotta got stuff, gotta get getting tongue tied. Got stuff that has to get done. Let's go.
Right.
Get her done.
Just get it done. Have that discipline, and doesn't matter what the obstacle is, just get the job done.
Hmm.
And so your mother is from England, so you have quite a bit of exposure to English culture. How would you
Yeah.
describe the differences between English culture and American culture?
Ooh, there's so many differences.
Yeah.
So many differences. Like they're more blunt. They're more forward sexually. Like for example, I had this chick walk up to me one time. She's like, "Holy shit, you got big feet. Let me see your cock." I'm like, "Oh shit, what? Really?"
Really? She came
Yeah.
up to you and said that. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And she was dead serious.
Absolutely. And I was like, absolutely not.
Okay.
I said, absolutely not. I was like, I'm not pulling it out unless it's getting used. So, like, if you ain't, no.
Right.
So, if you ain't willing, I'm not joining. So, no.
Right, right.
But, right. No, they're very forward over there. And they say, see you next Tuesday. Like, we say the F word, like, we say fuck. They'll say the other one that I'm not really a fan of too much.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So if someone says see you next Tuesday, that means they're really angry. Or
No, that's an acronym.
see you next SYN.
No.
Oh, see you. Okay, got it. Okay, I was sorry, a little slow.
No worries, man.
Okay,
Yeah,
see.
they say that, which to me is a very derogative thing. Like that's like the worst thing you could say to somebody to me. Like that's just extremely vulgar and it doesn't need to be. Like, nah. They say that like we say the F word.
Hunt.
Yeah, yeah.
That one.
That one.
Okay. Yeah, for me that one, I guess that's definitely a difference because like when I
Mm,
hear it's mostly only women that say that.
mm.
I guess I don't know. I rarely even hear
Right,
it here. I don't even
right.
hear it here.
We
It's
don't
just
say that
odd
here
to
too much.
me when someone
Right,
says that. It's like,
right,
oh, okay.
right. I don't
Okay.
like it.
So
See, but see, I
they're
grew up different though, right?
right.
Like that was a very you don't say that at all. I
Mhm.
once walked up to my mom, I was like, "What is a cunt?" When I was like 5, 6, don't ever say
I can see her getting really upset about
that. I'm like, I don't know. I just heard some little kid say it because they're little bastards.
that. So language is a little different there, but
Hmm.
they're a little more direct. Is that
Yeah,
in general? Like
yeah,
everyone's just a little more direct with what they mean and how they say it.
yeah, yeah. There's nuances and stuff, but it's not like you can't understand them. It's more of you're wanting to make sure you're not misinterpreting something. Like, for example, a cookie means a biscuit over there,
Yeah, yeah.
and a biscuit is a cookie. They slap
Yes,
that
that one. I think there's what do they call French fries there?
chips.
Chips. Yeah, they call
Mm,
French fries chips. That always throws me off.
yeah.
Okay.
Fish and chips is boss. There's a place over there in Devon called Squires. It is by far, hands down, one of the best places in all of England to get fish and
Fish
chips.
and chips. You know what? Because I went to Devon with your brother, and
You probably went there.
we probably went to Squires because I feel like I remember
Yeah.
them talking about the best fish and chips. I feel like we
Yep.
went there.
If you haven't gone there, I think you might have. If you didn't go there, you might have gone to another place. But Squires is boss. Did you say over at Ann's house?
Yeah,
Or okay, then yeah, you probably went to Squires.
yeah,
That's just around the corner from her house.
yeah. It wasn't far.
Yeah, yeah. Had
Mhm.
mirrors and stuff on the wall.
I don't remember the decor, but it's possible.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. That's a really fantastic place. It's
Okay.
a magical. It's magical.
It was that space of Devon. It was so nice because it wasn't like it was a small town. It's a small town by the sea, and it was
Mhm.
just so relaxed and it was really pretty, so quiet. I can remember it being just so peaceful in the morning there by the English
Eh,
Channel, and it was just nice. Just a
Yeah,
different way of life. It's a different way of operating.
it's that. Yes, 100% that. Yeah, it's different. I was stationed over there for 3 years, 3.5 years.
Oh, you were stationed in England?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah. I was
Okay.
stationed there from 2010 to 2013. Then I got out in 2013.
Okay, did not know that at all. Huh. And if you had to say one thing that you think England does better than America, what would you say it is?
Their roads,
The
their roads,
roads are
the
better.
and the driving over there. They drive better than us over here.
Wait a second. Are you saying the infrastructure of the roads are better, or
Hmm.
how people drive is better?
Kind of both.
Because in Devon, there are spaces where cars gotta squeeze by each other
Of course.
on the roads.
But you got to imagine though, everybody in England has to take like a year and a half course to go get their damn license.
It takes a year and a half to get your license, and
It's something like that. I mean, like the test, like it's ridiculous. Their test over there, and it's expensive. It's like no shit. Like I want to say like 1,200 pounds or something like that, 2,400 pounds
oh,
to be able to get your license. It's something ridiculous. You
that's like
have
almost two
don't quote me on
grand.
that. Right? Don't quote me on that. But
Okay, that's
it's
still a
it's
lot.
it's steep.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
very steep. It's not like over here where we pay $50 and take a little test and no big deal.
Right, right. But it makes sense though. It makes sense
Yeah.
for getting your driver's license to be that expensive and to take so long because
Mhm.
you're giving permission to operate a vehicle that can potentially severely injure or kill people.
Somebody else. Right. Right.
Yeah, so it absolutely makes sense that they are not so nonchalant about that privilege.
Well, right. But then like at 18, they're considered adults over there too.
Mhm.
Whereas over here it's 21. I think it should be 21 over there, but I'm kind of on the fence with that, right? Because like, okay, they have a whole different culture of growing up and being an adult. Basically at 16, 17, they're already starting to work. Like
Right,
15, 16, 17, they're working. They're
right.
working part-time or something just to try to get a job. And then 18, after they get done with school, if they don't go to like college or university is what they call it, um, then like they're working like a full-on adult. They
Mhm.
don't, they're like at 18, they're like booting kids out the house.
Right,
Yeah,
right. They
it's
definitely have a different approach to it.
yeah, it's different, but it's small town over there. It's like London's not so bad, but like as far as like you don't get the small town, you get like the big city feel kind of, but they don't go as high as like New York or something, but or something like downtown Phoenix. You wouldn't get anything like that really crazy, but it'd be just smaller. I don't know. I don't know how to really describe it other than it's just smaller. It's not as big as over here.
Oh yeah, definitely smaller. But they do a lot of things really well. One thing that I really appreciated about how they operate, it's the driving. It is the driving there.
Yeah.
For instance, if there is an abrupt slowdown, everyone puts on their flashers.
Yep.
That's like such a smart thing to do. It's like, let me warn the people behind me too. Let me not just worry about my own
Yeah.
self and hope to God that everybody else figures it out to slow
Right.
down. It's like, no, let me put on, and like everyone puts on their flashers.
Yeah.
And that is, it's such a simple thing, but it's something that we just don't do here.
But speed limit is an option over there for the
In
most
some
part.
places, right? In some,
Right. Well, no, like, well, not in like the main towns, like the main town, like center Ave or whatever, the town center. But like when you're on the interstate and stuff, absolutely. Or if you're on a little bit of a free stretch, absolutely. Speed limit or a sign is a starting point. I was once driving on the M3 because they call their highways motorways, which makes more sense. But I was going like 120 miles an hour. And this station wagon, family of four, cruising on past me at like 130, 140, just chilling, just putting along.
Yeah.
Passing me like I'm sitting still. I'm over here like, because I'm over here, never gone that fast before in my life. I was like, right. Like kind of freaking out. I was having fun. And then here it is, family of four.
Yeah. That's
kind of
wild.
like the Autobahn type thing.
Their roads are also built much better too because of that freedom, right? Like,
no.
Oh
no.
Okay, got it.
No. Our actual roads are better, but it also would depend on the area that you're at over there.
Okay.
Some of the roads are decent, but our roads overall last longer. I think no, theirs last longer depending on where you're at because of the way they do it. So like if you go towards Farm Town, they just lay rocks and let cars basically just go over it. And the cars pushing down the rocks, create that as being the road after a few weeks of constant traffic. They'll just basically mat them down into the dirt and push all the other shit down. Others, they'll do like the rocks with tar and fill the tar up all the way across. And then then they do like a cement mix on others, but that's like more on the newer stuff. They don't typically do, I don't know how they do their roads for the most part outside of that, but I know that's not all of them, but it's different. It's just different over there than here.
No, it's definitely different over there for sure.
Yeah. It's different.
And it's how people engage. Like people in England, they don't feel like they're trying as hard.
Right.
It's just a little more easygoing. It's
more like that southern pace.
Yes.
Down in the South.
Yeah. Yes, it's very much of a southern pace.
Yeah.
I did notice, and I'll speak about the women. I did notice that the women seem to care less about appearance there. They are more forward. They seem to wear less makeup.
Depends.
Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
Food, I thought the food tastes better over there.
I would agree.
The weather is trash, but
it's not horrible.
It's not horrible.
Yeah. Where you never really experienced any of the whiteouts or anything like that, did you?
What's a whiteout?
Ooh, so a whiteout is where the temperature is still like kind of cold, but there's a difference in the temp. But it's basically just a shit ton of fog, and the sun comes out, and poof, everything goes white because of the sun reflecting off of the fog, and you can't see your hand in front of your face.
What time of day is this?
8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock
So
in the
when
morning.
people are out driving, it sounds like a really dangerous
Yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah. It's 100% dangerous. Absolutely. Especially like right when it's the thickest, right when the sun first comes up, and their hours. Okay, you just got me started. Their hours of where their sun comes up and down in the summer is freaking retarded. Excuse me, ridiculous.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
When does it
It, it
come in out?
it comes up at like 4:40 in the morning,
Okay. That's
like
right.
all the way up.
Yeah.
Damn near all the way up at 4:40 in the morning. It don't go down until like 9:45 at night. It feels
Oh,
like
wow.
it's ridiculous. You don't get many hours of no light. It's
Right.
not hard to drink until the sun comes up over there.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah,
I got
but
some research to do because I've never heard of the whiteout.
you've never seen that, or like I don't know if that's the official expression for it, but it's like there's nothing else that can explain it. Like if you literally go outside of your house and you stand in it, you can't see your hand in front of your face
Wait,
when
maybe
it's that bad.
is there a term called like London fog, or is that like the name of a boat or something? The London fog, or did I make that up? Did I? I probably just made that up. Never mind.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe,
And I know, I think you might be thinking of stories where they say like the London fog and stuff,
maybe, maybe I
or
made.
something like that,
Yeah.
with like the in the winters and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, it can get pretty bad.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I really enjoyed it over there. The thing that I guess kind of is annoying there is that everyone's so polite. Everyone's so polite there.
Yeah.
It's like polite to a fault. Like if the food is garbage and the waiter comes by and says, "How was your meal?" They say, "Oh, it was great, thank you." It's like, but it wasn't.
All right.
I
That's
mean,
not everybody though.
oh, okay. Well, it was everybody that I was with, I suppose. And I get my company. My company is based in the UK, so everyone is just super polite there.
Oh yeah, no, I can tell you my aunt, as you know, Anne, she'll send it back.
Okay.
She'll send it back. Like if she orders steak and it's it doesn't come out right, like, oh yeah, they'll send it back. Absolutely. But you have to understand, right? Steak and beef in general over there is stupid expensive.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously expensive. So, for example, if you were to get like a 12 to 18 pound pork butt, right? Or not pork butt, um, like a beef shoulder or anything like that, or a brisket. Oh, dude, you'd be paying like almost $200-300 easy, easy for the exchange
Jeez.
at the very least, and that'd be for a small piece of that. Like beef is that expensive. You know how lamb is expensive here?
Yeah.
Same premise. Just think of it opposite,
Over
because
there.
lamb is scarce over here and abundant over there.
Got it. Okay, so I have to know since we're talking about England, I need to know your thoughts on the royal family.
What about them?
I mean, you're English. Don't you love them with all your heart and soul?
Kind of, but not really. I mean, it's more of okay, cool. They're the royal family. All right, another day.
So you don't really pay too much attention to them.
No, if you're talking about like the Kate and the what's her face or what's his face, like Kate and Charlie or whatever, whichever the two it is, I don't know. Yeah, no, I just know they probably need to shut their mouths, but
Got it.
they're
Fair. Understood.
probably trying to be Trumps and not shut up.
Okay. Okay. Huh. Well, good to know. I think that's probably a good note to finish on. Matt, hang around for a sec here, but I do want to thank you for joining No More Conversations, sir.
Thank you for having me, good sir.
Indeed. Hang on one sec while I wrap this up.